Hey friends, welcome to the C# video tutorial on Infologs YouTube channel. In today's video we are going to talk about the class in C#. Okay, so we'll write the code in C#, but we'll understand what is class. Okay, so yeah, before starting I would like to tell you we have on the Infologs channel you will see a lot of different things for the programming language tutorials. Okay, on the right side, on the right top corner, you will see the different playlist on a different programming languages. Let's say on ASP.NET Core. That is the ultimate goal of a C# developer. Okay, as soon as you complete this C# tutorial, you have to understand, and if you are understood the C# concept, so you can go ahead and watch our ASP.NET Core tutorials, as well as there are different web development and mobile development tutorials out there. So yeah, coming back to today's point, that is a class. So let's switch to our article that is published on infologs.in. So here you will see the article number 5, that is what is class. Okay, in our previous video we have also talked about the class by taking an example of employee. Okay, so but here we'll talk about a little bit more in detail. So a class is a blueprint of a specific object. So what is blueprint? Let's say I wanted to create a building, right? So for that, what architecture will do? Architecture will create a basic diagram, or we can say basic idea about how this building is gonna look like. What are the facilities? Where will be the stairs? Where will be the elevator? And what kind of structure of that building will be? Okay, all that information is considered as a blueprint. Okay, so in the class there will be same. Let's say in our previous video we have talked about employee, right? So for that, what will be the important aspect of employee? So we have declared the employee ID, then employee name, then we can consider the employee address, email address, mobile numbers. Then we have few operational methods. So like getting employee details, removing employee, adding new employee, then calculating the salary of employee. Okay, all of this related to the employee things. Okay, so that we can consider as a blueprint. So in the real world, every object has some color, shape and functionalities. Okay, here the object, just compare that object as an student, or as an employee, okay, or as in car. Okay, so here you will see a different object. So everything is object in the real world. Let's say I have a laptop, that is object. Then I have a building, that is also object. I have a temple, so let's temple, refrigerator, electronic things. Okay, all of this considered as an object. So now what you have to do is you have to collect the the related things. Let's say I'm talking about the shape. Okay, this is a standard example in the programming languages. A shape can be a circle, can be a triangle, can be a rectangle, etc. Right? So all this information will keep in the class of shape, that way. Okay, for example, we'll take an example of the luxury car Ferrari. Okay, Ferrari is an object of a luxury car type. A luxury car is a class that specifies certain characteristics like speed, color, shape, interior, etc. So any company that makes a car that meets those requirements is an object of luxury car type. For example, every single car of BMW, Lamborghini, Cadillac are an object of a class called luxury car. Here luxury car is a class that every single physical car is an object of luxury car class. Okay, this is the top level understanding. Likewise, the object oriented programming, a class defines certain properties, fields, events, methods, etc. A class defines a kind of data and the functionality their object will have. Okay, So here you will see an example. See, we have created a class called Ferrari class. Okay, you don't need to put that class word end of the name. You can just create a class called employee, class called Ferrari, class called luxury car, or we can just say a car. Okay, then we have fields. We can say the name of car. Okay, so then we have a constructor, so you don't need to think about this constructor kind of things right now. You just remember that in the class there will be a constructor kind of things. Okay, so as soon as it comes in the picture, we'll see in the detail. So then we have a method called my method. So here you have to be a very specific thing. So in Ferrari, if you have a Ferrari class, then you can create a method which can be used by the Ferrari class. Okay, so here you can name accordingly, and then we can pass some parameters in that method, and we can do the operation accordingly. Then we have a property, and then we have created a getter setter property, okay, to hold the values throughout the operation on this class. Okay, so we have access modifiers. So currently we have used access modifier called public. Okay, so anything declared in this class can be accessed outside the class. So here once you think this is private, okay, so you can't access this my property var to the outside of this class, because this has a restricted access modifier called private. And then we have a CSharp field. That means, yeah, this is my field. This is called, we can in general language, this is our variable which will be used to do the operation in these methods, or maybe in this property. Okay, then we have a constructor. So just understand it currently, so it just comes in the pictures in 2 times, so I'll just explain what is it. Okay, so let's say whenever anyone wanted to access this class called Ferrari class, okay, at the time I wanted to assign some default values to my fields or my properties of this class. So I can assign that default values inside the Ferrari class. That means, let's say person A is trying to access the Ferrari class, so it will assign the default values for that person A instance. Okay, and let's say at the same time person B is also wanted to access the Ferrari class. So again, person B will initiate for person B, the Ferrari class will assign the default values to all your variables called my field or your properties. Okay, default value. So whenever you want to assign a default values for accessor who is accessing the Ferrari class, so you can put all the information inside this constructor. Okay, so it just to initialize your private and public properties to default values. Okay, whatever you wanted to. Okay, then we have a method which has a access modifier called public. Then we have a return type void, so this method will not return anything. Okay, so let's say I have created a method for calculating the addition which takes the 2 parameter 1, parameter 2, and then we are adding that 2 parameters and returning the result. But for that we have to put their return type accordingly. So here we have adding 2 numbers. In that case I have to put the return type as integer, right? And the method name, whatever you wanted to, but do not use the keyword, registered keyword or predefined keyword. You have to put your own name, and then in the parentheses you have to pass parameters, whatever the number of parameters you wanted to. Okay, this is a property to holding the values throughout your class, so you can get access of that public according to the access modifier. If it is private, then that can be only accessible within the Ferrari class, and if it is public, that can be accessed outside the class as well. Okay, this is the standard structure of defining a property. So you have to create a private variable, and then you can return that private variable, and you can assign the value to the private variable. Okay, and this property, my property, can be accessed outside the class because this is public, and this property is declared within the class. You can see here within the class. That's why this property can access this private variable. Okay, that we'll do that in the practical, so you will get a more idea about it. So we see the private. This is the full structure of private variable. Sorry, property, public property. So here you'll see the full implementation. We'll have a get section, we'll have a set section, and we have a few logic out there. And this is the auto implemented, so you don't need to put all kind of this return, assign, and all that stuff. You just need to get semicolon, get semicolon, and C# compiler will create a full structure just like this for us internally. We don't need to do that. Okay, and this is the best practice. Whenever we create a property, you just put it as get and set, unless you have some logic to setting and returning value of this property. So in that case, we have to implement it like this. Okay, and then we have namespace, that is already we have talked about it. Okay, now let's flip to the Visual Studio and create a new project. What is class? I'll name it as what is class. Okay, all this project will be available on the github.com/infologs or on Infologs website, so you can just download that and try to understand it. What is class? So here we have a default class called program, and here I'll create a public class. Okay, so you have understood the Ferrari class, right? So here I'll create a different, let's say I'll create a student, right? So according to the article, first we have seen the public field, so I'll create a public string name, and I'll assign a default value string.empty, right? Or you can also assign any value to, like, let's say I'll assign a tiger. Okay, this way. And then we have also, let's say I'll put a comment over here. So this is field field or variable. Okay, this is for the understanding purpose. C# will ignore all of this, right? And then we have created a constructor called public, and okay, here you can see, oops, okay, how the constructor is created. So basically constructor doesn't have any return type, and constructor name will be the same as class name. So let's say I'm not assigning any value to here, so I can do it here like this. So whenever anyone wanted to access the student, the name will automatically get initiated by the tiger value, right? And this will be unique, so this will be for everyone who is trying to access the student class. Let's say 10 people are trying to access the student, then for 10 users the name will get initialized with the tiger value, right? And then we have created a method with the return type void. Okay, but here what I'll do a real-time example. Let's say, okay, I'll return an integer, and I'll calculate marks. Okay, and I'll take the input of as a parameter. So I have to calculate the marks, we need a subject, right? So integer subject1 and integer subject2, right? So what this method will do, it will accept subject1 marks and accept subject2 marks, and then what we'll do, we'll add that 2 marks and will return to the calling user, right? So here again we have to declare a variable called result, and we'll assign the subject1 plus subject2, and whatever the result will return using the return keyword, and then we have to, okay, so keep in mind the data type of this result will be same as declared here. If I put like something string, so it will give me an error, and if you hover your mouse on that red sign, it will tell you cannot implicitly convert type integer to string. So it is expecting the string data type, but we are returning an integer, so there will be an error. So we have to keep in mind while writing this kind of methods. Okay, so method is done, and then we have a few properties, but for right now you just understand there will be some properties out there. It will learn when it comes into the picture. So now let's try to access this student in our main method. To access the student, we have to ask an instance of the class. So to create an instance of class, we have to put the class name, then we'll name it as a small student, and we have to assign a few memory in that by using the new keyword. Okay, and as soon as you use that instance dot, just put the dot, you'll say the public name, because this is the public, that's why we are getting the name, and then we can see the calculate marks. Okay, just beside you can see the return type, that is integer, and it is expecting 2 parameters, that is subject1 and subject2. Now I'll select it, and subject1 will be 10 and subject1 will be 25, and this is return the data from this method, and the data type will be integer. So we'll store that result in the result variable, and here I'll print the result is result. Okay, so now let's run this application by pressing F5. Okay, but before that, in our previous we have also talked, we have to put it as set as default project or startup project, and then press F5. So here we'll see that the result is 35. That means this calculate marks method is adding the 10 and 20. So how this is doing it? So let's put a breakpoint. Okay, so I have to check each and every statement. So for that, Visual Studio provides this breakpoint kind of things. So here just you can see this gray section. You have to go and put the breakpoint. It will automatically stops the application as soon as the statement is going to execute. Yep, here you'll see that we are here right now, and for that to run one by one you have to press F10. So okay, here you have to press the F10, or you can see the options on the toolbar, that is step into the F11, that will go into the method or into the code. This will bypass that, and this will come out of the method. So currently we'll use this step into function to go into this calculate marks method. So I'll use first because this is the first statement, and it will automatically initialize our default value by executing the constructor. So I'll just press F10. Okay, so now I wanted to go into this method calculate marks, so I'll use F11. Yeah, our pointer will be here. So if you see, the subject has 10 and subject2 has 25 as per the value we are passing from here from main method. Now here you can use the F11 or F10 both, Now the value is calculated and the result is stored in the result variable, and now we are returning that result to the calling method, and now that result will be stored in the result variable 35, and now here we are printing that result to the calling. So just press F5, you will see the output. The result is 35, right? Okay, so I wanted here I also wanted to print the name of the student. So very simple. So I'll say name is, and then we'll go for the student, because this is the public and this is the property of student. So I have to use an instance of student dot name. So now what, and then the name is Tiger, and result is this, whatever it is. Okay, so whenever we instantiate our student class, the name will automatically get assigned. This is the default name. You can also change it, but we'll see that in a bit. So now just run this what class project, and then I'll just remove this. Okay, to remove this, just click on the same that tag, that it will get automatically removed. Now just F5, so you'll see the output over here. The name is Tiger and the result is 35. Okay, so this is the default value, and this is assigned because we have created an instance of this class. Okay, now what I will do, I'll change the name of student. So now the name should be John. Okay, now at the time of initialization, the default value of name will be Tiger, and after execution of this line of code, it will get override for this instance. Okay, just specifically for this instance. Let's assume that we have a few more student instance, so there will not get any effect. So every time we create a new student, it will consider as a fresh copy of this student class. Okay, so let's say I'm creating 100 of students, so there will be 100 copy of this student for 100 instances. So they'll they'll not interchange the data in between, so there will be a fresh copy of each student class. As simple to understand, right? Okay, so now let's run this and identify whether the name is coming John or Tiger. Yep, this is coming a John. So this way we can create our class. Then I hope you have understood the properties of classes. What are the properties of classes? There will be a constructor, there will be a fields, there will be a private field, there will be public fields, then methods which can return the value, which some cannot. So there are some private methods that okay. One more thing, so I'll just remove this public instances. So as soon as I remove the public instance, you can see the name is restricted, inaccessible due to its protection level. By default, it is considered as private, so we have to put it as public, right? Then only you will get to access of this name property outside the class, right? Then we have methods, or there are few methods which does not return anything, and they are just for processing kind of thing. Let's say I'll create a public void show message. Okay, what this method, this will just process all the stuff and print a message. Hey, I am in show message method. Okay, and then end. And now as we have declared this as public, so here you can use that instance of student class, then dot show message, and then semicolon, and hit F5. Here you can see the message, hey, I am in show message method. Okay, this is as simple as you can see on the screen, right? Yeah, I hope you have understood all the things related to the class. Okay, this way we can also create the class of shape, and which has a different methods and different calculating methods of rectangles, the square of rectangles, whatever it is mathematically. Okay. Yeah, I think you have understood the concept of class. In our next video we are going to talk about the variables, but that is very simple thing. But let me give you an idea, basic idea. Okay, we'll talk about the syntax, we'll talk about the some different declarations and understanding and what is the variable in detail in our upcoming video. Tutorial of the C# programming language. Okay, at the end of the screen you'll see the 4 options where you can subscribe this channel. Then second, we have a C# playlist, so you can go ahead and so watch all over the C# tutorials, and at the bottom side on the right, on the left side you'll see the previous video, on the right side you'll see the next video for the C#. Okay, so I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, queries, you can post in the comment section, or you can connect to us on infologs.in website, or you can send your queries through email or through social media platform, which is just the links is given below in the descriptions. Thank you for watching. This is Abhishek Vedre signing out. Bye bye. Yeah, don't forget, keep learning.